Okay, so it's quiet today, but there's lots of people, so I'm not sure why. We've got some new folks here. Let's give a hand here. I hope we pronounce the names right here. So I've got Zainab.
Yeah.
Zainab. Is it Z or is that
Zainab.
Zainab?
Yeah.
Welcome. All right. We've got Brianna over here. Brianna James, welcome. And I saw somebody's license that came by this morning there, and it was a brand new person there. You can't get any newer than Natsumi. She is now, what time is it? Her license is now 3 hours old. She's got a real estate license, right? So you got somebody who's been licensed for 3 hours and somebody who's been licensed for a couple of weeks, right? And you got your license yet? Okay, so what's the advice? What's the advice for brand new people? Run. On it? No advice?
Work hard.
Work hard?
Work 50 hours a week.
Work 50 hours a week?
Work smart.
Work smart. Work smart. Yeah.
Talk to lots of people. Treat it like a real job.
Like a real job? So is anybody, I was thinking on the way in here that we used to, years and years ago, we used to have farmers. We used to have the protected farms years ago, and people would have a farm area and they would have, Melbourne was actually the place most people farmed. Only because at that time, Melbourne was brand new. So there was lots of turnover, lots of stuff going on. It was nice entry-level houses and that, but we had agents that would fight over territories and we'd have protected territories, meaning that you couldn't go in that guy's territory, vice versa. We won't do any more because I had dark hair at that time. So it's like every day I was doing, but trying to fight off the fights and that. But the moral of the story is that every one of those guys that was farming was successful. Right, Pete, I'm looking at you. Pete, where are you? McKnight, Mr. West? Where's your farm area? McKnight? No. Where's yours? Because there's Ender and Shiv and you and Rossi and a bunch of other guys, and and doing that. So there's no reason why 30 years ago isn't the same today. So if you've got the advantage of having a farm area, and I'm not saying what's a farm area? Farm area is something that you can do something every week. It's not like sending out 20,000 flyers and hope people call you. Farming is actually doing like 400, 500. What were the numbers back then? It wasn't that many. 800?
Yeah.
But it was 700, 800. So it wasn't like thousands and thousands and thousands, but it was 700, 800. But it was enough that you can manage that you could send a flyer out every week or every 3 weeks. And it was manageable enough that you could knock on doors, and people put two and two together. They saw your flyers with your face, and then you saw your door knocking. So the two went together, right? So I'm thinking if I'm a brand new agent, I think I'd want to pick a little farm area, and it doesn't have to be big. It's just a little townhouse complex, something newer than older, something that's there, just something so that when you come to work and somebody's canceled an appointment, you're all ready to do something. The cancel appointment on you, you don't know what else to do. You can always go back to the farm and do some door knocking. You can always go back and phone call. It's always something to do if you've got nothing else to do, something to think about, right? So that's what we used to do, and then it was quite a bit. Because I think that listings, believe it or not, are the name of the game, and how you get listings are people that farm area, right? So something you might want to seriously consider doing that is something to do on your business planning. Of course, past client database, that's we push that quite a bit, but it's something else to think about on the farm areas. So that being said, what's going on in the marketplace? I thought the market is going slower. Talking to Nelson, he said he was busy all weekend. So what do you guys, do you find the market speeding up, slowing down? What's the overall feel?
Not so many offers.
Not so many offers, not as many offers.
So people say offers.
So you're not getting your 20 offers, you're only getting five, which is okay because it's still one's only win anyways, right? Anybody having to do open houses on the weekend at all? No.
I go and test it.
John, you did where? Okay, good. All right.
You did both this?
Any potential clients?
Pretty much
The neighbors, yeah. Okay. Used to be the old times there that people didn't want to do open houses because the only people that show up were the neighbors. Now we're telling everybody you want those neighbors to show up because those are the people you want to try to get their listing from, right? So it's a little bit different now.
An offer day started here or no?
Has anybody had any offer dates come and go and the sellers never got their market price or their target price and they relisted the property at a different price? Have you seen that?
Yeah, we have one in Whitby last.
Just one in Whitby? I'm aware of a bunch of them there, so.
799, but no offers. An offer will come today. She doesn't change anything.
This is somebody else's, not your listing, someone else's
What
listing?
kind of listing?
Detached, 2-story, 799. Yeah, just
No,
lots of
no,
questions and all.
Only offers? Only offers.
Now today they'll get.
It's all right. Okay.
What happened in Brampton?
Same thing, Brampton was very soft.
Brampton, we were, but Brampton, I'm not sure about the strategy on that one. There was a strategy, okay, or?
Yeah, I think I would have gotten a little bit lower.
Okay, so,
Clients had some reservations. About the-
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, okay, so the strategy, of course, if you're gonna try to hold off for multiple offers, you better make sure that the price you're offering is ridiculous price. In this particular case, we were hoping to get maybe 880, 890, and the list price was 830 or something, and then multiple offers trying to get 880, and of course, only one offer showed up, and the guy's not going to compete against himself, so why would he pay any more? Right? So we would prefer to see something in the 7s, or even the 6s, to try to generate, trying to make it a ridiculous price. But sometimes the seller doesn't understand that. The seller will say to you, I'm not going to give it away, right? So that's what they'll say. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it wasn't so much, so it's too bad. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't say who it was or where it was, or but hopefully they're going to come back. What we also know, though, if you don't win on the offered time, yeah, I'm being taped here anyway. So. If you don't get an offer that night, so in this particular case, for instance, if we didn't get an offer that night, we're not going to panic. We're not going to change the plan. We're going to still sit there and we'll take off the offer date, but we're going to let it sit there for a couple of days, maybe over the weekend, because we know there's a lot of buyers out there that don't want to compete. So if they see the property came up and the property didn't sell, then they're going to sniff around the next day. And you guys have all had it. You got calls from agents saying, what happened to the property? Did it sell or not sell the next day? And sure enough, and then generally the next day we'll get some serious offers too. So
We'll send out a message to everyone the following morning. That it's still available.
yeah, good.
Or do you think it's because of interest rates or the inventory just went up?
Inventory right now is over 14,000. So inventory went up, but I think maybe, unfortunately, I think that interest rate hike last week, I think cooled things off just a little bit. Right?
Only a 1/4%, right?
Yeah. So we're up 1/4%. So just so you know, how do you fight that? I mean, somebody said, oh, the interest rates went up. Are your buyers saying that I want to wait, or the buyers saying let's go up before it goes up again? What are the clients telling you? Right, that's I told you that, right? So anybody know, by the way, you have to have the objection handlers, right? So somebody says to you, hey, the rates went up 1/4 point last week. I think I'll wait. Does anybody know how much 1/4 point costs? Eh? Yeah, it's about $15 per 100,000. Right? So $1 million mortgage is going to cost them $150 more. Is that enough to break the market? Not really, but psychologically it is, because now someone's going to say, gee, the rates went up 9 times, and it's supposed to be another one next July as well. But realistically, it's only $15. So when you told your clients it's $15 per 100,000, did that change anything, or no? Looking at Sandy here.
I mean, at least my perspective, that gives a confidence to the client that, okay, I'm not paying much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's fine. Okay. Let's get into the numbers themselves. So as I said, there's 14,145 listings as of last night. If I check it this morning, it's 14,300. So it's actually gone up quite a bit there. Last week we had 13,400. So we're almost up about 700 or 800. Who's online right now? Are you online? How many active listings? Is it 14,300 or 200? 14,001. Okay, I thought it was 14,000. Okay, so about the same. So it's 14,145. So again, last week was 13,400. Sales themselves are at 5,500 and sorry, 50 sales themselves are at 4,251. So it's 4,251 sales for the first 18 days in June. If I compare that to the first 18 days of June last year, then the units themselves are actually up 8% from last year. Does everybody remember what the sales were May to May of last year? Sales up, down? Anybody remember? So May sales of 23 versus May sales of 22. Anybody remember? Percentage? Increase, yeah, I want, so the number was 25%, right? Sales were up 25% from May 23 versus May 22.
7,226 last
Yeah, but it's up 25% though, right? And the prices themselves were what, down 1.5?
Yeah, so I did that.
Yeah, 1.5 down, right? So even though, so the sales were up and the prices were down, but so as we're speaking, then it's still quite a bit. So now it's only up 8%. So that tells me the market is backing off just a little bit. So if you got a listing sitting there not selling, thinking that the market's going to catch up to your seller's price, it may happen, but it's not. It's going to happen later than sooner. All right. If I look at the numbers again, if in May, unfortunately, we had 311 sales per day for the first 18 days in May, and the first 18 days of June, we have 236 sales per day. So it's down about significant, right? So, but it will catch up later on. So is that effect because of the interest rates? I don't know. But the market, I don't know. Who's got listings that aren't selling right now? Does anybody have any listings out there that are having a hard time selling? So we got one there. Florence has one. What's your list price on that one? 750. And this is the one on Mance, right? This is one in Mance Townhouse. I was trying to call it's between, we talked about this last week. Mance is between Kingston Road and Highway 2, or is it north of Highway 2? Like Mance goes, it goes north of Highway 2 and it goes south of Lawrence, right?
South.
So you're south of Lawrence? Okay. So are you getting any showings? Getting showings on that property?
I won't show you yesterday.
Just one showing in a week, or?
Yeah, we had two last week.
Okay, so what do you think the strategy would be going forward on that?
Actually, I might be selling this on Saturday, just discuss it that maybe thinking about price change.
Yeah,
And they said they want to wait.
yeah.
It's too soon.
Okay. So sometimes your clients want to tell you what to do, right? So.
Exactly.
All right.
I told them the advantage. Stay tuned, might become stale, people might not be good.
Yeah. So if you're going to say 770, you've only had a couple of showings there, what would be the strategy? Reduce the price down to like 550 and then hold off offers? 599, hold off offers? It's like a big drop. And your clients, I know your clients, I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah, I suggested that it's like.
Oh, we're not going to give it away. So
Yeah.
it's too much. I understand that. So anyway, so carry on with June. So sales themselves for June overall are plus 8%. The condominiums themselves are up 5%, and sorry, the freeholds are up 5%. The condominiums are up 14%. Leases around 4,500. Leases okay. So active listings, we've got 6,748 active listings.
So 14% is the number of sales.
14% of the unit sales. Yeah, I don't know what prices. So just to recap, in January, our sales were minus 45%. In February, they're minus 47%. In March, they were minus 37%. April, minus 5%. In March, they were plus 25%. And right. So the market started off very, very, very slow, and now it's starting to pick up again. So if people are thinking, gee, the market's bad, the market was bad. It was bad in the first quarter, and you can see that in closings now, because you would have done sales in the first quarter, and then the second quarter would have been closings, right? So you're not getting as many closes as you normally have, but things are starting to pick up. So from minus 45 in January to plus 25 in May, That's a huge swing. So that's a positive swing. So that means things are happening there, right? That's important. Okay, so let's just get some juices going here for a second here. So last week I told you about AREA wanting to introduce a mandatory health benefits program. And if they decide to go forward, then it won't be effective until January of 24. But the cute thing is, and I didn't realize this until I read an article in Real Estate Magazine, of all places. You think I'd read my information from AREA or Korea or TREB, but I got it from Real Estate Magazine. And what they're telling us is that the proposal is mandatory. So every single one of us is going to have to pay, if they approve it, a yearly fee of approximately $660. You don't have to pay the $120, where it is for the current insurance. This will replace the current insurance, but it's $660. That would include a comprehensive plan. Covers dental, let's see, $750 max for prescription drugs, $750 for chiropractors, medical supplies at $500. It's got some insurance portion to it. If you die accidentally, it doubles up, things like that. Problem with it is that there's 90,000 agents in Ontario, and they're making it mandatory for everybody, meaning that if you have a spouse that already has a plan, you still have to pay. If you're over 65, the plan is limited, but you still have to pay the $660. So it's a all or nothing. It's mandatory or nothing. And the best part about this right now is that tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Hilton Suites Hotel, they're going to vote on it, whether they're going to go for it or not. Did you guys have any input? You did.
They send out an online survey.
If you read your notice pages, it says from June 9th, fill out a survey. And you fill out the survey, give them your opinion. Whoever filled out their opinions, that's going to go to the directors who are going to vote tomorrow on whatever that opinion was. I would have expected they would have said, oh, by the way, the survey is kind of important because we're going to make our decision on June the 20th. So you might want to fill out this form. Right. So they never did. So I don't know. I was showing Carly that 30 years ago, we also had a health and dental plan here within the office. But again, a lot of agents, it was mandatory, but a lot of agents didn't want to be mandatory. So the whole thing fell apart because it doesn't work unless everybody pays. So we'll find out tomorrow whether or not Treb's going to spend your money. I have a feeling they're not going to, because there are so many people out there that have health plans besides like their spouses who have health plans, right? So that's generally the plan there. So anyways, that's fine. $606 is kind of cheap. On the mortgage side, as I said, they had their quarter point increase last week on June the 7th. The next one is going to be on July the 12th. A lot of people were telling me, and I don't believe it, but it's true because I saw it. If you've got a variable rate mortgages, I know some people who have the bank has extended the amortization period so they can make the same monthly payment. And that was a mandate from the government to tell the banks that you got to work with everybody to make things, work for them. So somebody now has a amortization of 65 years. That seems nuts. Okay. So that makes the monthly payment the same, but the person's going to be really old by the time they pay off that mortgage, right? Do we care? If you're an investor, you don't. If you're an investor, it's okay because it's all cash flow, right? But if it's your own principal residence, I don't know about that.
So, the options are renting and nothing, or
Yeah, I guess
at least
so.
you're gonna gain on the appreciation.
Yeah, at least the banks are helping you out, right? So that's what they're saying. And going back here, just difference between a $100,000 mortgage at 5.5%. If it had a 25-year amortization, the payments would be $610. If it had a 35-year amortization, the payment would be $533. So it's quite a bit cheaper and whatnot, right? What are you seeing there, Brand? We've got Brand here today. Do you see anything in the mortgage side? What's the last, like since the 7th when they increased the rates?
Definitely, I think the psychology of it, as you said, the payment is gone by only $150 on the mortgage, but I think people are getting more fearful.
They're getting much, they're,
Getting more fearful that we get so much calls, like,
so they didn't deter them at all, right?
it did, I think the people on the fence, they kind of stepping
Yeah,
back.
okay.
All the pre-approval clients, they are putting things on hold, they want to see what's going to happen in July.
Really? Okay, so the pre-approval guys want to wait? Okay, so that's interesting. I read that it's the first time buyers that will be affected by the interest rate. It's not the move up buyers or not the move down buyers. So you got a lot of people that are buying their move up homes, even though the rates are there. It's not like they're putting 5% down. They're taking the equity out of their house and they're buying another place. So it doesn't affect them as much as a first time buyer would. And the first time buyers you're seeing, Brian, you're still seeing some applications or about the same, but a slowdown. You see a slowdown? I went to, going back to the Airbnb. And Dallas and other American cities, Dallas just came out there and they actually banned short-term rentals completely in Dallas and other states and that, because they're saying that they're driving the prices up and they're making housing unaffordable. In Dallas, they decided that they're going to make it for residential properties, they're going to restrict Airbnb completely for short-term rentals. They don't talk about long-term, just short-term. But they're talking about how the market's gone crazy because in Dallas, Fort Worth metro area in May, the average price, the median price was $405,000. And that price increased by 71%. Right? From quarter 2020 to quarter 23. So Q1 2020 to Q1 23, 71%. Here's the good thing about Dallas. It's interesting. You're talking about Americans and investors. The average rent in Dallas is $1,950. So if you can rent out for $1,950 and you buy a price for $400,000, you're in positive territory, right? So what are we doing here? Right? But
There's no taxes there, right?
in some states there are, the oil states they're not. So same as the provinces, the oil provinces are not. So here we go here. Dallas only has okay, they've got, okay, I'm not going to get into this. So what I found curious from this, I went into our stats. We've got active lease listings. We've got 6,600 properties for lease on Toronto Real Estate Board right now. 6,748 properties are for lease right now in the GTA. Airbnb, short-term rental, 12,000. So all the politicians are concerned about affordability and prices going higher and so on and so forth. I'm not being political here, but to be kind of curious if the city decided, hey, no more rentals or Airbnb at all of a sudden we'd have a flood, 12,000 listings, both rental and for sale. That would solve some problems, I think.
Condominium, a lot of buildings have the law, but not.
No, but the city itself covers whatever the common does. So then I was asking, who does short-term rental? Like, who are the clients? Who are the people that are renting short-term rental? Who are these people? No, the consumers, not everything. It's funny. Everything I read says it was from the investor's angle, but I want to know who's your client, right? Who are the clients? Who are renting out these places? So I had to go to Chat AI. I had to go to Chat GPT just because I did the Google, and every time I Googled it, it kept on telling me investor side, buying side. But that wasn't my question. My question is who you're renting to, who are your clients. So Chat GPT told me. Has anybody used that yet? So they're digital nomads.
That's what it said.
These are individuals who work remotely and travel frequently. Anybody know that? I know a couple of agents whose kids will go to, where are they now? One's in Mexico right now. And the other one's in, who's that fancy place in Indonesia that everybody wants to go on vacation? Bali. And some people are in Toronto, but these are people that can work anywhere. right? So they do Airbnb for 28 days in Toronto or longer just to get a feel for the city. And then once they've done their 28 days, then they move on to Boston or Valley or where they're going to, right? So those are some of the people. Corporate travelers, okay, professionals, guys that have the projects to do, they're people that do it. Individuals are the process of relocating to a new city. I'm sure you got some people that they don't, I don't know. If you're gonna move to a new city, you're gonna buy a house right away, or maybe you want to check it out and see what the city's all about, right? So maybe do a short-term rental there while you're doing that. Short-term job assignments. So some people will take on a job for a couple months. International students that they're in between. Maybe they do like a makeup course. They're not gonna do the full year. They just want to do like one semester, something like that. And then renovations. A lot of people are getting renovations done in their house, and they may move out. Or what some agents have done, they're trying to sell a house and they've got a couple of dogs, and they tell the clients to move out. Well, move out a couple of weeks so we can show their property. So maybe they'll do an Airbnb while you're doing that. So I thought that was kind of curious. They do that. Who does that? Anybody know that? Has anybody told their clients to leave for showings or leave for a couple of weeks?
And my renovation company, customer wanted his entire house renovated from top to bottom, so we told him for 2 weeks, like we'll give you a lower price if you like move out.
Yep. There we go, right? So and they went to Airbnb, it's that type of place just to scram, right? Yeah, good. So there's Airbnb stuff. Housing market is still hot, but likely to be cool. Okay, we just figured that out. I want to talk about that again. And there's so many confusing things out there. I don't know, is it politics or what? Do you think that the government created this unaffordability? And I haven't got it here. I'm just gonna improvise right now. But during the pandemic, would you not expect during the pandemic to the real estate market to collapse? Was that not the expectation? And then instead the market doubled. What the heck is going on, right? And it's only because of cheap money. That's all it was, cheap money. And this article here from Bank of Montreal back in April says that real estate, I know, we're not going to solve the world here, but anyways, real estate is not, there's not a lack of inventory. There's just too much demand. Because money was so cheap, 1 in 5 people own a second home. Is that right? How many people have a second home here? I'm sure I'm not going to ask, but quite a few, right? So a lot of people are buying a second home. Would they have done that if the rates had been higher? Maybe not. So that's what BMO is saying. It's not a matter of inventory. It's same people, but that's it. So it says here that housing stock grew faster than population in Vancouver and Toronto. So this goes back to what we're saying here. They're saying that the population in Toronto experienced a 1.3% increase in its population, while the Toronto stock, the condominiums, stuff like that, grew 3.5%. So the number of units to live in grew 3.5, population only went up 1.5.
And yet you're saying there's less housing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so there's something, something going on with things. And I think it's just something to do with money, cheap money. We're not going to solve the world here. I just started putting stuff into your head. That's all to make you think that don't always believe what the newspapers are telling us, right?
But I've seen, you agree, traffic is increased horrendously.
Yeah, it has.
And I've
Yeah.
seen everywhere. Like,
I tried to sell my condominium now for what?
That's fine, ever.
I don't know. I had to fire one agent and go to another one. So 600. Okay, so 600. Okay.
I know first. This guy going there and he said, "Oh boy, the price is high. Can't get insurance, can't get anything." So we have one. Now we got one answer for it. Reduce the price. And here it is here right now. How long have you been trying to sell it?
He increased the price.
30 days, right?
In this case, it was the pictures. The pictures.
He's
were
a
the-
unicorn, all right?
Okay, so it's just for fun. So when we bought this place,
He's trying to teach you guys.
when we bought this place, my daughter was going to university and she was going to rent a place downtown. I looked at some places downtown. Everybody looked at rentals downtown for students, houses. Like you got to leave your shoes on, man. Right? And I thought this is stupid. So we found the cheapest 1-bedroom condo in Toronto. And that's what we bought. Right? So now we're trying to sell it.
No, but you rented it out.
It was rented out for a bit, and then the interest rates went up, right? Like you can get 5% GIC real quick, right? So if you got $700,000, you get $35,000, you know, in interest on that. You can get get 24,000 for renting. So, anyways, so we listed it for 780, and we brought it down to 690, and then I brought it back up to 740, and then the problem wasn't the price. The problem was showings. There were no showings. So I had it leased out before for back in November, I guess, for what, $2,550, and then we put it for rent for $2,900, and we rented it one day. So it's gone.
2,900 for one day.
All right.
No parking.
Has parking. Yeah.
I know somebody will.
But I'm a typical homeowner. I bought the cheapest unit in the building, and I expect to sell it for the highest price. Typical buyer, right? Okay, you got Realm and we got Matrix. So right now you've got till July 17th to try both. I think what they've done here, they've given you options to use Matrix or Realm. Stratus will not be here at the end of this year. So if you want to try Matrix, that's fine. But I think they made the option for Matrix for the other boards that just joined TREB. So you've got the Quinty board, Northumberland board, Barrie board. Those guys all used to Matrix. So those boards have joined our board now. So I think they're giving those realtors the option to maintain Matrix.
So Matrix will stay on.
Matrix will stay on, and Realm will come in as well. Anybody that use Matrix, people that use Matrix like Matrix, people that use the Realm, you know, like Realm. It really depends on how you feel and what you're doing with it. Just so you know, hasn't come into effect yet that I've seen, but I think Barrie inventory is now completely on TREB. Did you know that? And the reason why I'm asking that question is I just said we have 14,100 active listings. I wonder how much of those are Barrie inventory that jacked up the inventory.
So it may not have surged. It may
It's
have been
and you have to pay attention to what's going on here, because maybe the market is getting more inventory than we thought, but maybe it isn't, because maybe the inventory is coming from other places. I would expect TREB to tell me something going on, but then I would also expect them to tell me what's going on with RIA. So I guess I have to figure out myself. Right. But the Barrie board is designated under Simcoe. Is it S? Simcoe?
Yeah, when they first started, it was an N.
N was north.
Yeah, it had an N.
Then they
started
changed.
doing it, and then I guess once they got everybody on the TREB, then I guess they put
Right.
the S in front of it.
Okay, so it'll be S for Simcoe, and I don't know about but Kingston, whether or not it's going to be K or whether it be X, or I'm not sure yet. So anyways, it's coming down the tubes. So we've been playing with the DigiSign. So this is important. I sent you an email last week. I sent you an email about the DigiSign just so that I'm surprised. A lot of people didn't know that DigiSign was going to be disappearing. Do you guys all know? You guys all know because I told you. But if I hadn't have told you, would you have known yourself?
I've been pretty good at sending emails. They've been saying Authenticsign is sunsetting, so it doesn't really. It's kind of a weird word, but you guys
Typical
are
IT term, sunsetting.
sunsetting
By the end of this month.
by June 30th.
So as I told everybody a couple weeks ago, we've been playing with it. I've been playing with it. I'm probably over 20 now that I've done just back and forth just to make sure that we understand it. I find it very simple, easy, only because I've done it 20 times. If you've not done that, you might want to do it sooner than later. Humans being humans, a lot of people aren't going to do it until they have to do it. But I know a lot of agents don't want to embarrass themselves because they don't want to be in front of a client and be halfway through a deal and get stuck. So I know that's the problem. So that's why I'm telling everybody to practice, because it's there. It saves you so much time. Believe it or not, there's still some agents that are still not doing electronic signatures. They're still going in the car at 10 o'clock. They're still driving to the client. They're still getting things signed in person. So it's still going on out there.
But it could be the client, manager, or
Could be the client doesn't have a smartphone. Can anybody here tell me, anybody here have a client that doesn't have a phone?
Yeah, some older people, yeah.
For old ladies.
Even my mother had an iPad. Right? So practice, it is a little bit different, but I find something. Because it's not going to go away. So I got a call. I got a bad call. Sorry. Oh. This is embarrassing. I got a call from an agent. I'll just give you Chelsea on the street there. A call from an agent. The stagers have gone to the house, and the owner of the house left. But when he backed out, he backed into the stager's truck and then left.
Back what?
Backed his car into the stager's truck and then took off.
Oops. Oops.
There, talk about how do you handle that? That's awkward. Mr. Seller, your client, Mr. Seller, he backed into this guy's car. You go tell him, hey, you backed into the car. What's he gonna say? No, he didn't. And then what do you do?
What's the proof?
The dent. Worst part, it was a U-Haul. Wasn't in their truck. So it's not like you can't not fix it, right? So what do people do? I don't know. What did I do? I said, I don't know. This wise man told me years ago. He had a restaurant and he used to always have cooks, and the cooks were always fighting somehow. And then he always go in there and try to break it up. And he finally realized, forget it. Next time we saw them fighting, he just shut the door and says, go at it. So my answer to this was, you guys figure it out, right? Let the stager and let the owner figure it out. You just back off, don't get involved. All right. Another tale from the street, and I see this quite often. When somebody passes and you're selling their house, for some reason, agents have this thing that they want to put the executor or the estate trustee's name on the listing or on the offer. Everybody follow me there? So Mr. Brown dies and Mrs. Smith is the executor. So as the owner, people are putting Mrs. Smith executor. You follow what I'm saying? Anybody else here do that?
That's the spouse or whoever?
No, whoever's the executor, right? So we have a deal that somebody did that, but they didn't put executor. Somebody put the executor's name on the listing because they're the ones that are signing it, right? They're the ones who sign it. You got to put their name there. Well, no. Come closing date, the lawyer says we can't close this date. They don't own the house. Everybody follow me there? Mhm. Power of attorney. No, when somebody dies, power of attorney dies with them. There's no power of attorney.
They have the will.
Who's selling the house? The executor or the estate? It should have been the estate of Mr. Brown. The executors do not show up anywhere. When they sign their own personal name, and beside their name they'll just sign in executor or estate trustee. But they don't show up in the body of the offer or the listing or anything else, right? It should be the estate of such and such. Everybody okay with that? I get the questions all the time. And what everybody will tell me is, well, this listing here says it. By the way, the buyer wants a discount because of the mistake.
1%?
How much?
They want $20,000 because they paid $20,000 over asking, so now they want the $20,000 back.
How do they fix it? Do
They got to
just
do
an
an
amendment
just
on
got to
the
do an
name?
amendment. Yeah,
So it's not like a big fix.
it's not a big fix for me, but somebody sees opportunity. They're trying to take advantage of opportunity, right? All right, and every time you see advantage for opportunity, but my point is that just be careful. You know, talk to Nelson and myself when you have the situation. Don't be, just because they're executors, be careful on that. Sorry, your question?
Is it was on the closing day or before?
Yeah, it's not even closed. Like two days before closing, this thing comes up.
So why the lawyer didn't tell before?
Well, let's say 2 days. It might have been 10 days. Whatever the title search date is. Right?
Yeah, because the title search.
Yeah, title search date. The title search would come along. The buyer's lawyer would have done title search. Say these people don't own the house.
One party is, tested or, you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess you have to get a third party. I guess you get the initial lawyer. Let the lawyer tell us what to do. It is a good question because the husband might want to sell it.
Yeah.
And the wife's in some home and she doesn't know what's going on, right? So I don't know how that works. So you have to get legal advice on that. We have another one here, I'll paraphrase again, where somebody, an agent, gave a letter of opinion. And they gave a letter of opinion based on his husband and wife splitting up. Letter of opinion was so that they could equalize their payments. So the agent gave a letter of opinion based at 1.4. And then there were 6 properties, 6 building lots, 1.4 for 6 building lots. What's that per lot? 1.4, let's say 1.2, so 200,000 per lot, right? And then they did that, and then they settled the money, and then the husband got the money. He paid, and the husband gave her the half the money, and then the husband sold 2 lots for 600,000. So she sued the agent, saying you misrepresented your letter of opinion.
Oops.
And then the agent said, when you asked for a letter of opinion, I told you should get an appraisal done on that. And you said, what would it cost? I said, well, it's be about $3,000. I said, what about a letter of opinion? Well, it's $300 for a letter of opinion. So she chose the letter of opinion. So the defense was you had the choice to go into appraisal or letter of opinion, and you chose letter of opinion because it was cheaper, but it's cheaper for a reason because it's not the same value as an appraisal. So the judge voted in favor of the realtor, saying that he doesn't have any skills to be able to give a proper appraisal. So I know a lot of you guys do letters of opinion and you're worried about going to court and being responsible. You're not responsible. There's case law for that. Just make sure your client understands that this is a letter of opinion, it's not an appraisal.
Was it in writing though? It is in writing.
Well, it went to court, so they believed everybody, so. Yeah. So that's interesting too, right? And then this article here, I just told you what, that the population grew slower than the number of new units. This article here says that despite downtown construction, Toronto has lost housing over the last 5 years. So I don't know whatever story you want to give, right?
Toronto's lost housing?
Yeah. So people are funny how deep you get into things, right? So what they're saying here is that to build number 1 Bloor, east or west, they had to take out 20, 30 residential units. They had to get rid of the existing buildings so they could build the big one. So even though they gave up a couple hundred units or 30 units, they're going to build 600 units. So when those units get built, this will change. You follow me? So all the houses that they torn down, they've taken all the units away, and then but when they rebuild the new condos, it'll go up higher again. Anyways.
Station and a whole neighborhood going on Avenue Road. All the signs were up.
It's all there, yeah, good. Population is 40 million now.
Only Toronto?
40 million is 40 million? No,
Or GTA?
Canada.
that's Canada.
You won't be able to stand like this way.
GTA, how much?
Maybe.
Okay, so I've got lots of stuff around. I want to do them. Let's just do Tales on the Street. 130. Okay, this guy got fined $9,000.
Agent?
The agent got fined $9,000 because they misrepresented the taxes at $2,365, and the taxes were actually $2,800. And they misrepresented the square footage. This agent had listed this property since 2017 all the way to 2020. She had square footage at 1,200 to 1,400. Then she changed it to 1,400 to 1,600, and then she changed it to 1,200 to 1,400. And in fact, the property is 1,165. Right. So you've got to go to MPAC and find out. So don't be putting stuff on there that's going to come back and bite you, right? And you shouldn't have to guess anything. You should be able to get all that information.
Some people write previous listing. What is that?
Previous listing, yeah. So you guys, you still get fined.
And then you have to
Can't-
fight with the other guy. Or
You can't pass it on. This guy here got charged $10,000. So there's 3 offers on our property, and his total commission, who is he with? He's with Save Max. Listed for $950, had total commission of 3%, 2.5 to co-op.
Only half?
I'm surprised. I thought the guys charged less than that. Anyway, so he double ends it, reduces the commission again,
Oops.
How much?
By half.
2% total.
Okay.
Problem is he didn't tell anybody else. So he reduced his commission. He did not tell the competing offers. He reduced his commission. He got fined $10,000.
Because he was whatever he made.
Did he at all tell that he has his own offer?
No.
Oops.
But having your own offer is okay, but reducing your commission is the hard part, right? This person got fined $9,500. What'd she do? She had offers and 6%. I like this girl. 6% commission, 3.5 to herself, 2.5 to co-op, which is good, right? And it's done. If anybody's shocked that I've seen that many times. On May the 12th, they got an offer for $2,800, and then on May the 13th at 11:24, this person advised the other agents, "Oh, I have another offer," and they accepted the other offer at 11:30. They gave him 5 minutes. So they had an offer from the resident A, then they got their own offer. They said, "Oh, by the way, I have a second offer at 11:24."
And they didn't say that it's their own offer?
Doesn't matter. They accepted the offer at 11:30. So they get, "Oh, I told them I had another offer," and they accepted it 5 minutes later. Anybody see a problem there? And they reduced their commission. So they got fined $9,500. So that's ridiculous. I mean, if you've got a second offer, why wouldn't you go back to the first guy and say, "I have a second offer"? Give him time to talk to his client and increase the price. I mean, what's the hurry? Especially if it's your own offer. You put the irrevocable time on your own offer. You can make it anytime you want. So that doesn't make any sense at all. And this is my favorite. Or is it? No, this one might be my favorite. Actually, you know what? My favorite's $10,000 fine, but this one's $20,000. I like the other one better. Wow, $20,000. So this agent, for some reason, I don't know, I have no idea why, but they somehow wanted to get a pre-approval done for their buyer. So what they did is I don't know, didn't Brandon make sense of this? They wanted to get a pre-approval for a buyer. So they wanted to go to a bank or a mortgage broker and get the client pre-approved somehow. So what he did, don't ask me why, created an offer for a property, fake offer with the real property, fake the seller's signatures, put his buyer's signatures on it, and submitted it to a mortgage company for approval. Right? What he didn't count on though is that the mortgage company ordered an appraisal, and the appraiser knocked on the seller's door and says, "I'm here to appraise." Appraise what? It wasn't even an offer, right? So the guy got fined $20,000 for. He wasn't trying to steal the property; he was trying to get financing for his client. But does it make any sense to you?
Why would they need to do an offer?
Get like a real.
Why would you have to get a real offer to get a pre-approval unless the guys you're dealing with wouldn't approve without a real offer?
You don't need it. You don't even need it all.
That one's, yeah, that one there, that confuses me, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally the last one. This is the one I like the best. I like this one the best only because it's only a $10,000 fine, but I like it the best. So this guy got fined $10,000 for he was too busy, so he gave the lockbox codes to his buyers.
10,000 for that?
10,000?
$10,000, right? So we gave the lockbox code to his buyers, and the buyers opened the door, and the tenant, had me tenanted property, works from home, right? So they got caught. But why it's good? This was in 22 of May. He got fined $5,000 in November for doing the same thing. He gave lockbox codes to his clients because he was too busy.
So he's already fined and he
Got fined again. So 5,000 the first time. Somebody said 10,000 seems like a lot, right? Well, not if you do it the second time. It should be. And then the guy with $20,000 4G signatures, that shouldn't be a $20,000 fine. That should be like suspend your license for 6 months or something.
That should be jail.
And we said the other day there, we were joking around. The only way that RICO can actually get rid of a license if somebody kills somebody. And then I was reading something, one of these things here where somebody actually got terminated. What do you do? And I looked out, sure enough, he killed somebody.
only way.
That's the only way I can see. You can't deny it. That's so funny, eh? Mark your calendars on August the 9th. We've got our family day. That's still a while away, but far off. Anybody have any properties you want to talk about? Anybody have any buyers you want to talk about?
Make sure it's real.
1%.
Real estate.
Husband and wife separated. They have house. Now they want to put it in the market. So wife has one agent, husband has another agent. So who gonna represent?
You. It can be.
I was representing the girl, and the husband says no. My agent gonna put it in the market.
So call this, yeah. So agree to a commission sharing. It can be done with another company, right?
No, you can co-list with somebody else, but only one sign can go on the property.
Right, that is co-listed with another company.
Yeah, so you can co-list it, but it doesn't mean anything because it's only one MLS.
He also even don't agree on that. He says my agent.
What does he want to do? I don't understand. So the question is, question for this home, you got a husband and wife, and husband and wife want to hire their own agents. What I told someone else to do some time ago is just hire your own lawyers and hire one agent and make it conditional upon lawyer's approval. Because two agents aren't going to do anything. Two agents aren't going to do it. The two lawyers will. So just tell the client, look, we're going to make it conditional upon your lawyer's approval and her lawyer's approval. You don't need one agent. Where you go?
Or you just get one lawyer for the real estate transaction. And when the deal closes, all the funds will trust in that, trust the company.
Yeah.
Dispersed.
Are they being difficult because they don't trust each other, or they just want being spiteful?
Don't trust each other.
Sometimes just spiteful, right?
You just get one lawyer just to do real estate transaction, period.
So, yeah. So I have another question then, we're sort of just spitballing here, but somebody said to me, okay, they have an investment property and they have their principal residence. If they move out of their principal residence into the investment property and make that their principal residence, that's okay, right? That was the question. Anybody see any downfall in that? So you live in a house and then you've got a rental property, you're gonna move into the rental property and call it your principal. Anybody see the?
Where are they doing that?
What about the other one?
I guess they'll probably, I don't know if they're gonna sell the other one, or it doesn't really matter what the current one, let's say the current one they're gonna sell. Let's say the principal resident they're gonna sell, they're gonna move into their investment property.
He's talking.
You can't avoid paying capital gains on that. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, so the way the question was given to me was, it's okay, right? Like if I move my name from the principal residence here to my investment property, it's okay. I said, sure, you can do what you want. You can do whatever you want, but what you have to do is you have to crystallize the investment property and pay the capital gains on the investment property.
How many years, right?
Doesn't matter. Right? So you understand what I'm saying? So if they bought the investment property for $100,000 and today it's worth $200,000, then they're gonna have to claim $200,000. They have a $100,000 gain. They have to pay taxes on $50,000. And then from that point forward, it's your principal residence. But you just can't take your name, switch them and not have any tax consequences. I'm sure that's what they thought. They thought, well, I'll get rid of this at one property. It's my principal residence, right? So it doesn't quite work that way. Fran, anything?
What's the 5-year fixed at?
509.
509?
Yes.
Wow. Even though it's not up that much, eh?
So a 5-year fix is 509. I was reading we're 6%. So that's good. 509.
That's insured, right? Insured. How about insured?
Like 529.
Oh, that should be all long.
Short term has gone up quite a bit, like 3 years, 589.
Oh, sure.
So someone asked me the question as well, what do you advise your clients? Are they taking 5-year fixed, like they're variable right now and they're due? Is it 5-year fixed, 2-year fixed, 1 year,
Yeah, what do you advise? That's a good question.
2-year term.
2-year term?
How much is it?
What is the rate? 592, 609.
Okay, so there's the rub, right? So it's 592 for a 2-year, but it's 5.9 for a 5-year. So it's more expensive for the short term, but the gamble is that rates are coming down.
You think so?
I don't know, Benjamin Charles article, he's telling like next year this time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were talking about the fall of this year, but it looks like it could be spring of next year.
What about another 2 raise?
You got an email.
July is coming.
Anything else? Okay, folks, all right, thank you very much. We'll see you all next week.
You don't really.